Jayashree and Prabhakar have been running the week in property for about 1 year now.
Yeah,
No,
6 months. And it's become a very popular show now.
It's purely on Facebook, and every week we have over 1,000 people logging in, and they ask questions, they counter ask questions. So we find that
viewership is very high.
Very high viewership, and they share, comment.
Internet has become the new TV, no?
Internet
has become the new TV.
Yes.
I think especially after this Netflix, Hotstar, Amazon Prime and everything, the conventional TV is going.
Yes.
It's very
conventional TV channels are going.
Yeah,
TV hai. People are watching Netflix and TV.
Yeah. The screen is there.
The television is there. Television channel business is.
And Chromecast is doing well.
Yes, complete video on demand kind of thing.
Absolutely.
That personalized kind of a service is very.
And there is no advertisements, there is no break, you can start as you will.
Okay, let's start. Okay? Roll?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining us for this discussion. We've started this after a long time. We thought the market conditions were such that it merited a good, healthy debate from the private sector. We've got Praveen, Jain, we've got Gaurav, Gupta, both from the developer community, Shubhendu, Saha, who's a consultant expert, and we've got Manikandan from the Indian Housing Federation, who is bringing in the policy perspective. He's an advisor to governments. We thought that is important when it comes to analyzing. We have a few more of our participants joining in soon. Prabhakar Sinha, of course, the real estate editor of the Times of India, and Sudhir, the CEO of Magicbricks. I'm Jayashree Kurup, I'm editor on Magicbricks. Very quickly, we are live on Facebook, we are live on Twitter. All our consumers out there watching us, please feel free to send us the queries. We found that since yesterday when we announced the event, we've got over 20 queries from our consumer base and it's constantly coming in. So we urge our consumers, please participate in the discussion, write into us, send us your comments, and we'd be happy to include that in the discussion. We've got Pradeep Aggarwal of Signature Global, a company that is focused on affordable housing. Clearly PMAY has been a trigger. And the conversation today is affordable housing viable for the private sector? If so, what are the elements of the policy that have made it viable for the private sector? And if not, what are the tweaks that you would like to see in policy that would make it happen better? We live in trying times. There are lots of things happening. So I thought before we start, Sudhir, a quick welcome from you to all our participants and our consumers out there.
Yeah, okay. So we've been doing these RE dialogue format now for about 5 years or so, right? And the topics that we have usually picked have either been topics which are consumer centric, topics which are developer centric, or topics which affect industry at large. We don't have a fixed calendar as such, but I think on an average we've been doing about 4 such dialogues every year. We've done about 25 of them so far. Over 150 panelists have participated in these. So we are excited to see one more event, very, very topical and contextual for today's times. Like Jayashree said, a very warm welcome to all of you. We are particularly happy because most of you are first-time participants in this format, at least our format. So particularly excited because that allows for fresh perspectives and completely new insights into what we are discussing today. I think the topic for today, the day on affordable housing and whether that's viable for the private sector, is extremely topical. So as we all know, the industry has sort of slowed down over the last 3 years. Traditional growth drivers of the industry, such as urbanization, housing shortage, nuclear families, some of these have either slowed down, some of them have even ceased. So I think as an industry, we've been looking for new growth drivers that would actually thrust the industry ahead. And one of these growth drivers has been the affordable segment. Much like the economic or the income structure of the country, there is a lot of growth which is possible if you go towards the middle or towards the bottom of the pyramid, right? So housing is no different. There is unlike the upper or the luxury segments in this industry, where supply possibly outstrips demand, in the mid and the lower segment of this industry, it's the other way around, right? So demand significantly outstrips supply. Our own data, which we published a few months back, showed that of the 5.6 lakh people who in the month of November were actively searching for a home to buy, 2.8 lakh out of them, which is about 55% of their total size, were actually searching for homes which were less than 50 lakhs. So it's a very big segment, and we know that it's a large segment. Historically, it's been unaddressed because the problem of how do you build homes that are attractive enough that will sell and at the same time generate enough profits and interest for the private sector was unaddressed. But in the last 12 months, you've seen a spate of regulatory incentives. We have seen support in the form of industry status, tax breaks, the CLSS scheme, housing for all, a lot of incentives that have come from the government that has renewed interest in this segment. The question is whether that's attractive enough that will trigger a spate of construction and supply creation in this segment, and I think that's what we're going to discuss today. So really look forward to an interesting hour of discussion and to different insights than what we possibly already know. There's a bunch of questions that Jayashree mentioned which have come from consumers, so we'll seek to address them today. Yeah, Jayashree, over to you.
Thank you. First of all, let's talk to Praveen Jain. He represents the housing body. He's from NAREDCO. He's president NAREDCO. Praveen ji, for the private sector, how significant have been the policies, and which is the policy that really pushed the private sector into developing affordable housing?
देखिए सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने तो अपनी पॉलिसीज बना दी हैं और बहुत सारे रिफॉर्म्स भी आए हैं, स्टेटस भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर स्टेटस भी मिल गया पीएमएवाई को, CLSS स्कीम जैसे भी बताया सुधीर ने, बट स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के अंदर उतना काम नहीं हो रहा। स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के अंदर अगर उठा के देखें पीछे, हमने प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस को भी लिखा था पीछे, हरदीपुरी साहब से भी कई बार मीटिंग हुई इस बारे में जो मंत्री जी से, तो उसमें ये निकल के आ रहा है कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट उतना काम नहीं कर पा रही है। स्टेट अल्टीमेट प्रॉपर्टी जो है स्टेट का सब्जेक्ट है, और आप ये देखें कि हमने जो नंबर्स अचीव करने हैं, 2 करोड़ घर की बात करते हैं या 5 करोड़ घर के रूरल अर्बन मिला के 5-6 करोड़ घर की बात करते हैं, तो पिछले 3 सालों में या 2 सालों के अंदर हर साल कितने नंबर्स अप्रूव हुए हैं। सिंगल विंडो क्लियरेंस की बात चल रही है, वो नहीं हो रहा। रेरा प्रॉपर्ली रजिस्ट्रेशन जो होना था वो नहीं हो पाया। तो अल्टीमेट स्टेट्स को भी आगे आना होगा। सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट अपना पूरा पुश कर रही है इसको, बट स्टेट उतना आगे नहीं आ रहे। जब तक वो नहीं आएंगे तो ये अचीव करना बड़ा मुश्किल है।
Gaurav, you represent CREDAI in the NCR region. Help us understand from in the Ghaziabad region, what are the issues that still hold the private sector back?
If we start from the policy matter, I think the congenial environment that we're seeing for affordable housing, our industry has not seen it before. Yeah. You know that the government has given the infrastructure status to the affordable housing sector, as Pradeep rightly said. Then income tax incentives have also been given to the developers for constructing housing up to 60 square meters. CLSS scheme is there. So the conducive environment has been set by the government to take it further. But the biggest challenge, probably not in the Ghaziabad but the entire country, that we are seeing is on the financing side. Because financing is one aspect, because we all have to understand and appreciate that affordable housing are low margins projects. And here the margin ratio, I believe, for any of the developer is not more than 10% to 25%, depending on the cost of the land and other things. But when we take a proposal to any of the financing institution and say that, okay, you do the financing for this, they say that your margins are very less. And my cost of funding to you is in the range of 14% or going up to 18%. So the project is not viable to me. So some kind of tweaking is required in the financing side so that that developers can construct more and more of these projects. As well as from the UP government side, we are getting a lot of support. In fact, the priority has also been given to the affordable housing segments because CM is directly monitoring to it that these projects are approved fast so that their delivery can be fast. But certain challenges remain, like environmental clearances or the fire clearances. For them, they are still going with all the other projects and they have to wait, timing is long. If these things are taken care of, I am very sure that we will see more and more affordable housing projects coming in the Ghaziabad region.
Right. Pradeep, if I talk about your company, you chosen to build in the affordable housing segment, right? And you've incorporated yourself as a group and building aggressively in this segment, especially in the Gurgaon region today. What are the challenges that you are facing, and how is it that you as a company are able to focus on the one segment that where the returns are not very large?
चैलेंजेस से पहले तो एक चीज़ जो आज का आपका एजेंडा है मेन, कि ये वाइबल है प्राइवेट सेक्टर्स के लिए नहीं है, तो यही एक ऐसी हाउसिंग इस वक्त है जो वाइबल है। आने वाले टाइम में यही एक ऐसा सेक्टर रहने वाला है जो ड्राइव कर रहा है पूरे रियल एस्टेट को। यानी ऐसे मेरा मानना है कि अगले 5 साल में अगर रियल एस्टेट को कोई ड्राइव करेगा तो वो केवल अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग है। एक ट्रेडिशनल माइंडसेट जो बिल्डर्स का, जो डेवलपर्स का रहा है प्रॉफिट मार्जिन को लेके, वो यहाँ पे मीट आउट नहीं होता है। जैसा गौरव ने कहा कि एक माइंडसेट है कि इस पर्टिकुलर ब्रैकेट से निकल के अगर हम जाते हैं तो हमारे लिए वो वाइबल नहीं होता है। लेकिन जब आप क्वांटम ट्रेड करते हैं तो सारी की सारी चीज़ें डिफरेंट वे में निकल के आती हैं, क्योंकि आपको पहले एंट्री करनी पड़ेगी, उसके बाद एनवायरनमेंट आपको समझ में आएगा। आप सिर्फ एक या दो प्रोजेक्ट से डिसाइड नहीं कर सकते। अगर आज भी कोई अफोर्डेबल सेगमेंट में जा रहा है और अगर उसका 1 मिलियन या 2 मिलियन का प्रोजेक्ट बन रहा है, आई थिंक सो कि उसके लिए वाइबल नहीं होगा। लेकिन उससे लार्जर वे में अगर वो लेके जाता है तो इससे ज़्यादा वाइबल आज की डेट में रियल एस्टेट में और कुछ नहीं है। बिकॉज जैसे आपने कहा कि बॉटम ऑफ द पिरामिड पे जो थ्रस्ट का लेवल है वो इतना ज़्यादा है कि शायद अभी डेवलपर अंडरस्टैंड भी नहीं कर रहे हैं। अगर हम पिरामिड को 1 to 5 तक लें तो 4 और 5 लेवल पे काम कर रहे हैं मोस्टली डेवलपर्स। 99% डेवलपर जो है वो 4 और 5 लेवल पे काम कर रहे हैं। नीचे 1 और 2 लेवल की अगर हम बात करें तो उसमें 1% से भी कम डेवलपर हैं जो इस टाइप का काम कर रहे हैं। लाइक सिग्नेचर ग्लोबल जैसी एक जो कंपनी है, अगर मेरे जैसे 1000 डेवलपर और लग जाएं तब भी उस डिमांड को पूरा नहीं कर सकते। फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर आज तक मैंने लगभग 10,000 यूनिट लोगों को सर्व की हैं तो जो एप्लीकेशन जो एप्लीकेंट हैं उसके अंदर वो मोर देन 4x एप्लीकेंट हैं। इट मीन्स कि आप 3 to 4 टाइम डिमांड को और अभी अगर आपके पास तुरंत है तो आप उसे और दे सकते थे, और सेम पेस कंटिन्यू है। ऐसा नहीं है कि एक पर्टिकुलर टाइम था उसमें डिमांड थी, आज नहीं है। फर्क क्या है, एक कॉन्फिडेंस शेक हुआ था पिछले कुछ टाइम में, तो अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग एक चैलेंजेबल एरिया रहा ही है बिकॉज प्रॉफिट मार्जिन कम है। अगर बिल्डर जरा सा इधर उधर होता है तो जो कंज्यूमर है उसको लगता है वो डिलीवरी हो पाएगा नहीं हो पाएगा। वो चैलेंजेस मुझे लग रहा है कि इस 18 जो फाइनेंशियल ईयर जा रहा है इसमें काफ़ी हद तक उनकी क्लैरिफाई हो जाएंगे कि हाँ ये डिलीवरीज हो सकती हैं और क्वालिटी डिलीवरीज हो सकती हैं। तो जो परसेप्शन है वो 18 और 19 में एंटायरली अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के लिए चेंज हो चुका होगा, ऐसा मेरा मानना है।
Manikandan, I'll come to you. The issue that Gaurav raised, that we've addressed the supply side, we've addressed the demand side. There is no addressing required that there's endless demand there. But the financing is something that has been a bone of contention for the private sector. Help us understand what
Basically, the financing for the private sector or the developer side is one thing, and the financing for the retail end user is another thing. And we need to look at both in a different way. And when it comes to looking at the financing for the developer, the options are there, just that the pricing is slightly higher, and as a result margins may get affected. So what it really impacts is on the profitability. The profits are still there. If as a developer one is efficient, there are profits to be made. Profitability can be here and there based on efficiency and more importantly cost of funds. And what do we compare this profitability with? If we are comparing this profitability with the earlier middle income, high income segment boom times, then yes, the profitability in this segment seems to be much lower. But if we are comparing it with any other industry, like a manufacturing industry, what is the profitability is there and what is the profitability in affordable housing? If you look at it as a standalone business opportunity, it is still profitable. So to that extent, what we need is more efficiency, like how you would do any other business. If you approach it very professionally, very business-like, affordable housing, standalone vertical is still profitable. So that extent, I think the cost of funds, yes, is a significant challenge which affects profitability, but I'm still saying that profits is still not a problem.
Okay. And the risk perceptions that had been imposed on this segment, that doesn't impact the financing?
It does, again in both ends. Like one is the real estate developer itself had a perceived risk in terms of institutional financing. Now the relaxation in terms of the risk perception, at least for the affordable housing sector, has been brought down with the infrastructure status, with the advent of RERA. Like there is better professionalism coming into the segment. Now it is only a matter of time that institutional credit will follow this sector. On the client side also, there is quite a good improvement in the availability of credit to the end users, especially in the larger cities. Today we can fairly say, based on the newer micro housing finance institutions, if we can call them that, if there is a family with income out there, there is definitely housing credit, especially if they are going to buy into one of these affordable housing projects, where the uncertainty on the security, which is basically the legal and technical, is taken care. So the only variable is the repayment capacity, which these institutions are fairly conversant in terms of how to get that done. So in large cities, if people are going to buy housing inside an affordable housing developer-led project, and if it's a family with income and repaying capacity, retail loans are also not a problem. So to that extent, there are initiatives from the government side, and especially NHB in the recent past given quite a few licenses to many newer generation housing finance companies, which are predominantly focusing in lower income informal segment. So that variable on retail credit is reducing. I would not say this for the entire country or the entire urban scenario, but definitely top 50 cities, it's not a problem.
Shubhendu, your perspective, we're talking about an industry, a segment of an industry that's evolving as an industry. Right. Unaddressed earlier, clearly in focus from the policy perspective, and the industry itself is struggling to put all the mechanisms in place. Give me your perspective.
Yeah, sure. So, since you introduced me as a consultant, so let me do some consultant speak here. Okay, so for any industry structure, and if we talk about affordable housing as a product, let's look at the critical supply chain components. There is land, there is financing, and there is the core development cycle itself. Financing, as Manikandan has also shared, I share his view that was the most solvable of the problems, and that is getting solved progressively over the last 12 months or so. Whether it is government putting aside a corpus in the latest budget, or whether the IFCs of the world setting aside $1 billion to fund this segment. Eventually, the operational risk management for these organizations would set them. They are experienced people, and they would get it. So there are private equity funds who are financing the developers also in this project. So that is one hurdle that is more or less getting crossed. The second issue is on the ability of the developers to bring that product in time. And 100% of that is not in the control of the developer also. Mr. Aggarwal would agree to that, because there are issues of approvals, etc., that would hold up. So unless your supply chain in creating that product is super efficient, either through scale or through good project management, it doesn't matter what the price of your final product is, you will always lose money. Yeah. Right? So every product has a cycle to do it. Now let me come to the land, which is a problem which has not been solved, and I have not seen essentially how the state governments are addressing that problem. And because there's a problem which purely lies with the state governments, because land is largely with them. Having said that, central government is still the largest landowner in this country. In line with their larger urbanization policy, how are they going to release these urban land parcels? What is the institutional structure? Because if they are able to release these land parcels with reasonable connectivity, I think the private sector can bring in those delivery efficiencies, because entrepreneurs always learn on the job, and they will be able to bring that. There is financing there. This is a piece which is missing, and I'll just do a very quick math. 55% demand lies at 50 lakh and below, right? Okay. So let's do a quick math.
And this has become formal demand. Earlier, this demand always existed, but it is being articulated.
Absolutely. So let's say it's at 1,200 square feet of an apartment. We are talking somewhere about 4,000 to 5,000 rupees of a saleable, right? A price. Construction cost, even if we take 2,000, 2,200 rupees, we are still left with 2,000 rupees of surplus of our operating margin. How much of FSI, how much of financing cost, you take it out, if you have an efficient delivery machine, there is enough of money to be made there.
The current FSIs, are they sufficient? I would like everybody's opinion on this. The FSI for affordable housing, should we enhance the FSI for affordability?
I think for the project to be viable, it is not important that the project should be very high-rise building. Right. FSI is not a problem for affordable housing. Right. The problem with affordable housing, if we talk of the land construction, is the location of the land. We all are from Delhi NCR. We know that the DDA came out with housing in one of the areas of the North Delhi, and till today they are not occupied. because most of the slum inhabitants whom they were allotted, they were not willing to go there because their place of working and their place of residence is too far off, that it is not viable. The same thing is happening today with the development of affordable housing. Affordable housing actually is a very wide term. So if you can just divide it into segments, say for the houses which are up to 14 lakhs and the houses which are in the range of 14 lakhs to 30 lakhs. The biggest problem exists in the houses up to 14 lakhs because that is a segment where most of the demand exists, wherein there is shortage of 30 million houses as per the data of the government. Now if we break this figure, housing for all by 2022, it means we need 30,000 units per day for this problem to be solved. If we want to have housing for all by 2022, the problem is that this segment of 30 million is primarily rural demand, primarily the demand which is based on agriculture, and in an economy wherein we have seen number of farm loan waivers, I have my serious doubt to what extent the financing institutions are comfortable giving finance to these players, because they are solely dependent on external factors. Their income level is dependent on that. Secondly, if we come to the second segment of 14 lakhs to 30 lakhs, there the supply side is there, the supply is there, but there is a slight misconception in that segment that the prices will fall further. If I talk of areas like Rajnagar extension, Noida extension, or some areas of Faridabad, or areas like Bhiwadi, there is sufficient amount of houses which are available, which are in the range of 25 lakhs going up to 35 lakhs. But the buyer is coming, seeing and not buying it because the buyer has a perception in the mind that the prices will fall down further. So the product is ready, the buyer is there, but somehow the perception problem is there. And day by day our regulation cost is going up. Because as and when we are becoming more environmental friendly country, NGT is coming out with more and more regulations, and as a responsible citizen of the country, we need to follow them. But every regulation has a cost attached to it. If I don't have to use a groundwater, I have to use a treated water. There is a cost. If I have to have my buildings covered by green cloth from all the four sides, there is a cost. If my labor has to be properly PF registered, ESI registered, there is a cost. So probably the time has come wherein the government should also come and support here that all these regulations have a cost. The builder should build it in his product cost, and the buyer should be willing to pay. So these some corrections are required in my view.
Praveen ji, your views?
नहीं ठीक, जैसे अभी बताया गौरव ने, बिल्कुल करेक्शन की ज़रूरत है. मुझे लगता है टेक्नोलॉजी पे भी काम करना पड़ेगा. आज डेवलपर्स जो बात करते हैं, जो हम पिछले सदियों से चीज़ें चलती आ रही हैं, उसी टेक्नोलॉजी पे बात करते हैं. हम कोई नई टेक्नोलॉजी कम लेके आ रहे हैं. आंध्रा के अंदर कुछ है जो प्री कास्ट कंस्ट्रक्शन के ऊपर बात होती है. आज प्री कास्ट कंस्ट्रक्शन फास्ट कंस्ट्रक्शन हो सकती है, उसके बिना हम शायद अचीव भी नहीं कर पाएंगे नंबर से. बट आप दिल्ली NCR में देखें तो कोई बात ही नहीं करता उसके ऊपर. तो बहुत कम लोग हैं. जैसे सिग्नेचर ने शुरू किया प्री कास्ट की सॉरी ये फोम शटरिंग लेके आए. मलेशिया की शटरिंग थी, वो पहले 15 साल पुरानी टेक्नोलॉजी है. अब आज तक लोग उसको अडॉप्ट नहीं कर रहे. तो चीज़ें मतलब टेक्नोलॉजी पे बात करनी पड़ेगी. लैंड भी एक बड़ा इशू है, फाइनेंसिंग इशू है. तो चीज़ें तो बहुत सही हैं.
Prabhakar, feel free to jump in whenever you have.
Actually, I want to say one thing, particularly in the affordable segment. All the ingredients are there in the system. But only thing is this, that you'll have to tie it down and you'll have to make it efficient. Like home loan. For the poor people also. Government has already started giving credit guarantee. But the institutions, they are not availing that facility, because if they will avail that facility, then they'll have to lend at the lower rate. And if they lend, but their cost of fund is high. So at the same time, the banks are sitting on the funds which they have not been able to lend. So they can give that loan to this financial institution at a lower rate, so that they can lend further to the poor people with the credit guarantee at say 9% rate, with 6% subsidies, that will come down to 3%. But nobody is trying to tie down this entire thing together so that the interest rate comes down. Similarly now state government. The state government is willing to work, they are ready to acquire land, give everything MPD, but the various authorities are not talking together. Now in Delhi, there is a slum redevelopment area, there is urban redevelopment area. They regularize the colonies, but after even regularization, the banks will not give loan on that. And now what is happening, that the construction happens, but the poor buyers who are really in need of money at the lower interest rate, they are not able to avail it. So they still take loans from some other party at 16 to 18% and not avail the 6% subsidies also. So what is happening, the very purpose of this housing for all, which was meant for the poor people, is not really reaching to them. and it is just going around.
It is, I think, largely concentrated in the LIG, MIG1 and MIG2, which is why we raise this issue.
Yeah, and
what is viable among affordable housing? What is viable for the private sector? And if the 1 and 2 of the pyramid that Pradeep referred to, if the 1 and 2 of the pyramid is also addressed, what does that take? Manikandan said that the viability there is almost equivalent to any other industry, and you have to set your expectations right. In which case, do you need volumes? Is it the volumes that bring in that viability?
Now today, even this class, those who are buying at say 6 lakh or 8 lakh of rupees, they are availing loan at 12, 14 to 14%. Now, if you enable them to borrow at take loan at 9%, the affordability will just increase, and the number of people who are going to buy those houses will increase suddenly, and so the demand will further increase also. The only thing is this, and the policies are there. It's not that the policies are not there. Policies, government is ready to give. Only thing is that there should be some authority who should tie down all these loose ends, and so that the things should move properly. That is not happening, and that's why I'm saying that mission mode approach for achieving housing for all is lacking completely.
Right. And consumers, just to make you understand, there are a lot of consumers who are logged in. The scheduled banks have money which is in the priority sector. They can lend it to the housing finance companies. If they do that, the housing finance companies, the cost of borrowing comes down, their cost of lending comes down, and instead of paying a 12 to 14% or 14 to 16%, your cost of loan comes down to 8 to 9%. Then with the credit link subsidy scheme and so on, which the government has raised, the net cost can come to near zero for the consumer, because there is a GST input credit, and the developer will be able, if he passes it on to the consumer, it becomes the tax rates come down significantly, and your cost of funds come down significantly. But today, while there is money with the scheduled banks, there are housing finance companies willing to service the micro industries. All the systems are not talking to each other.
Yeah, exactly. That is the problem.
Yeah.
The various departments are not talking.
One more issue that, you want to say something?
जैसे प्रभाकर जी ने भी कहा कि ये एक मिशन है, इसको मिशन की तरह लेना पड़ेगा. देयर इज अ गैप. एक बहुत लेमन लैंग्वेज में समझिए कि अगर वार हो तो क्या होगा, वॉर रूम बनेगा प्रॉपर, उसमें एक एक चीज़ कैसे उस कंट्री से फाइट करनी है, एक एक चीज़ उसमें डिज़ाइन होगी. ये आज अगर हम इसे एक वॉर रूम बना के एक वॉर की तरह लें कि 2022 तक 2 करोड़ घर मेट्रो सिटीज़ में और रूरल एरियाज़ में जो 4 करोड़ घर रिक्वायर्ड हैं वो दिए जाने हैं, तो उसके लिए जितनी चीज़ें वो टाई अप की जाएं, आपस में टाइट की जाएं, जिसमें इंस्टीट्यूशन, बैंक्स, जो अप्रूवल अथॉरिटीज़ हैं. आज सबसे ज़्यादा किलिंग एरिया इसमें हमारा अप्रूवल अथॉरिटीज़ का है. आज मैं कोई भी लैंड बाय करके जब अप्रूवल के लिए जाता हूँ, कम से कम 1 साल जो रूटीन ट्रेडिशनल माइंडसेट है, क्योंकि ऐसा रहा है पीछे से, 1 साल में लाइसेंसेस वगैरह ये बिल्डिंग प्लान अप्रूव होना तो बहुत जल्दी का काम है. अगर मुझे इसमें फिर से 15% कॉस्ट उसके ऊपर और लगनी है तो मेरे लिए प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी वहाँ पे डाउन होती चली जाएगी, जो पहले ही बहुत थिन मार्जिन पे है. तो सारे के सारे प्रोग्राम को एक वॉर रूम में बैठ के एक डिसीजन पे जाना पड़ेगा, जिसे हम वन विंडो क्लियरेंस ये वो भी कह रहे हैं, लेकिन सारे के सारे स्टेट्स एक जगह बैठे हों, हर चीज़ का डिसीजन एक जगह से निकले, तो मुझे लगता है ये ज़्यादा बेटर हो पाएगा, बजाय इसके कि हर स्टेट अपनी बात कह रहा है, उसकी डिफरेंट पॉलिसी है, वो किसी और वे में ले रहा है. तो यहाँ पे थोड़ा मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग चल रही है. आज हरियाणा की पॉलिसी कहें तो मैं कहूँगा सबसे बड़ी मॉडल पॉलिसी है पूरे देश में, ऐसी पॉलिसी कहीं और नहीं है. आप दूसरे किसी, आप यूपी में चले जाइए तो ये पॉलिसी के अंदर और कुछ चीज़ें उन्होंने ऐसी ऐड कर दी जिससे बड़ा मुश्किल हो गया वहाँ पे काम करना. रिसेंटली एक प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना में उन्होंने कंडीशन कर दी कि 24 मीटर एग्जिस्टिंग रोड चाहिए प्रोजेक्ट के ऊपर. आप ये देखिए 24 मीटर एग्जिस्टिंग रोड कैसे पॉसिबल हो सकता है जो अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन पूरी की पूरी, यानी आज की डेट में वो पूरा का पूरा ग्रीन फील्ड है, वहाँ पे कैसे पॉसिबल है, उसके बिना आपको अप्रूवल नहीं मिलेंगी. तो 90% जो प्रोजेक्ट हैं वो आपके साइड हो गए. इवन हरियाणा में ये चीज़ अलाउ है कि आप जो 24 मीटर रोड है जब प्रोजेक्ट आपका डिलीवर हो उस वक्त आपको बना के देनी है. तो ऐसी कुछ प्राइम चीज़ें हैं जो अंडरस्टैंड नहीं कर रहे हैं, चाहे वो अथॉरिटी लेवल पे हैं, चाहे वो जो ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हैं वो हैं, या अदर देन जो ऊपर हमारे पॉलिटिशियंस बैठे हैं. तो कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो आपस में मिसिंग है. अगर इनको पूरा किया जाए तो डेफिनेटली जो नंबर्स हम अचीव करने की बात कर रहे हैं वो जरूर हो पाएंगे, लेकिन कुछ चीज़ें इसमें ऐसी हैं क्योंकि डेवलपर ने काम करना है। काम ऐसा तो नहीं है पहले सारी की सारी कंज्यूमर को लेके सारी बातें समझी जा रही हैं। मुझे लगता है डेवलपर सबसे पहला पॉइंट है जिसमें जब वो लैंड प्राइजेस पे हमारा यानी गवर्नमेंट का कोई वो नहीं है, क्योंकि फार्मर से आप लैंड बाय करते हैं या थर्ड पार्टी से बाय कर रहे हैं, तो कम से कम स्टैम्प ड्यूटी जो है वो उसके ऊपर इमीडिएट रिमूव होनी चाहिए जब वो डेवलपर उसे बाय कर रहा है। अदर देन जो टैक्स हैं आज की डेट में, अगर अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के ऊपर टैक्स भी है तो मैट मिनिमम उन्होंने एप्लीकेबल कर दिया है। हम एक गिफ्ट सिटी बनाते हैं, उस गिफ्ट सिटी में उसे 50% कर देते हैं, उसको भी 9% कर देते हैं। वो एक छोटा सा एरिया है, पूरे इंडिया में एक मिशन बनाया हुआ है, तो इसके अंदर टैक्स रिलीफ और देने चाहिए। जो कंस्ट्रक्शन मटेरियल है उसमें जो इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं जितनी चीजें, उनके ऊपर टैक्स रिलीफ देने चाहिए। तो इस टाइप की चीजें अगर इसमें इन्वॉल्व होंगी तब मुझे लगता है ये पेस पकड़ सकता है। अदरवाइज क्या होगा, कुछ लोग मिलेंगे, फिर से वही चीज होंगी और 2022 भी आ जाएगा, कोई बहुत ज्यादा नंबर नहीं अचीव हो पाएंगे।
To make this a viable industry, do we need scale? And if so, what is the minimum scale that we need so that, जैसे प्रवीण जी ने कहा, टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करें, वो टेक्नोलॉजी वायबल होने के लिए अगर आप 200 घर बनाएं, क्या वो वायबल होगा? 2000 घर बनाने हो, अगर एक डेवलपर 2000 घर नहीं बना रहा है एक एरिया में, तो should there be a kind of pooling so that equipment, technology, scaffolding, formwork and so on, can you share? क्विपो ने ये किया था 1998 में जब हम स्केल की बात कर रहे थे, all construction equipment in an area could be pooled, ताकि आप एक जगह से दूसरी जगह अपना इक्विपमेंट ना ले जाएं, आप इक्विपमेंट को बोरो कर सकें और आप बिल्ड कर सकें। ऐसे इनिशिएटिव्स क्या आज मार्केट में आ रहे हैं?
Look, I don't think so that's happening, and I think the pooling of equipments, etc. I think that's something which the EPC industry can take up rather than the developers, because they would be the essentially creators of the asset for any of these developers. Let us understand, when we talk about scale, real estate is a fairly localized business all over the world, right? Even if you look at the biggest developer of Gurgaon, doesn't have any presence in Noida. This is the situation. So as far as asset creation is concerned, the large EPC contractors, they would be able to build that scale for you and supply it the same material or the same, if you talk about prefab, the same type of equipments or the products to a developer in north, south, any of these states. So I think that is where the capacity building of the larger industry also comes into the picture. I'll also pick on one of the issues which Mr. Aggarwal talked about approvals. Why can't we have a catalog of designs, right, which become a standard design? So Indian Roads Congress have already given specifications what a national highway, state highway would be. Why can't that be done for affordable housing?
NAREDCO ने हमने बना के दिया था ये मॉडल कि आप जो प्री अप्रूवल की बात होती है कि सारे घर एक जैसे बनते हैं, आप 50 तरह के प्लान्स बना लें, 100 तरह के प्लान्स बनाएं और उसको अपलोड करते हैं कि अगर आपको ये घर बनाना है तो कोई अप्रूवल की जरूरत नहीं है, प्री अप्रूव्ड है। तो चीजें मतलब
मुझे ऑलरेडी हम लोगों ने इस बारे में एक प्रेजेंटेशन भी दी है कि आप प्री अप्रूव्ड प्लान में देखिए आप कितना टाइम बच रहा है। आज अगर मुझे
सब लोग एक जैसे 3 मंथ भी निकल रहे हैं, जैसे घर बना रहे हैं,
3 मंथ की भी कॉस्ट है।
सर सबसे कमाल है कि जो मास्टर प्लान एरिया है वहाँ पे एनवायरमेंटल क्लियरेंस की क्या जरूरत है?
एनवायरमेंट क्लियर
जब आपने मास्टर प्लान बना दिया, इसका मतलब कि आपने ऑलरेडी एनवायरमेंट कंसीडर कर चुके हैं, वहाँ आदमी तो रहेगा ना, इसलिए तो मास्टर प्लान बनाया है।
कि गवर्नमेंट कितना अच्छा नोटिफिकेशन आया था दैट प्रोजेक्ट अप टू 1,50,000 स्क्वायर मीटर दे डोंट नीड सेपरेट एनवायरमेंटल क्लियरेंस, दैट वाज इनबिल्ट विद द लोकल अथॉरिटीज, बट देन अ कोर्ट डिसीजन केम ऑन सम PIL and that was totally scrapped off. This, if you talk of the Pollution Control Board NOC, Water and Air Act, I don't understand how real estate industry comes into that. We don't produce any toxics, don't use any chemicals, and this was also scrapped, but again it is brought back. So the government is trying its best, to make it approval fast, but again the impediments, obstacles are coming back to back.
About the technology, the modules, I think very soon there is an international design competition that has been launched by the government, or it is going to be announced in the next few days, where globally anybody who has technology and wants to participate in India's housing movement, they have been asked to bring their models workable in India and come and demonstrate with any local partner. Any one of you can be a partner, and up to 200 houses they have to build on the ground using that technology to prove its viability. So it is an effort to import technology from all over the world, and there is a lot of interest from around the world. The ministry has already sent out the invites, and I think very shortly you will see a lot of technology. The reason why I raised this issue was because most countries, South American countries, Southeast Asian countries, where scale of construction has picked up, has been on the back of technology. Traditional technology will not get you anywhere in terms of speed and in terms of scale. But scale, one thing that we understood is that the scale is not there at individual locations. The scale may be at an area level. So therefore we wanted to understand whether we are on the right track. At this stage, may I pick up a few questions that our consumers have asked? Maybe that will give you an insight into how the market is responding.
So just before that, because
yeah.
you brought the scale issue,
Yeah.
that's when we have to actually understand the demand piece as well. So when we are talking about the mission, we are talking about pan-India, 4,000 plus cities. And when we are talking about real estate developer-led housing, we are actually talking about top 50, top 100, which is also why you tend to say that the action is pretty much in LIG, MIG1, MIG2 or CLSs. And that's because in the large cities, when it's developer-led housing, the current numbers look in favor of CLSs, and you don't see other verticals in action. But then if you really see the ministry numbers, the maximum number of beneficiaries are actually in beneficiary-led construction, which is actually not a private sector developer-led initiative, right? So actually when we see the mission, we need to see it in that context, and we are actually talking large cities developer-led, whereas there is another component which is actually going on ground with substantial progress, which is one individual building, getting his one house done with a direct capital subsidy with some amount of loan support. So that distinction we need to be clear, which is where the scale issue comes. The micro markets where the demand can be aggregated and it can give sufficient scale for economies is more only in the large markets, and only to that extent there can be. Yes, that's an issue, but then there are
Delhi or Bombay. I mean, the hundreds and thousands of people are living in that kind of a condition, and they are ready to pay. And they are ready to pay. Lands are available. Only thing is that you have marketed and unauthorized.
And as you said, we need to get these things coordinated.
And somewhere the overarching problem seems to be of planning. Have we figured out where the demand is? Like you said, North Delhi mein ghar to ban gaya, but people are not staying there because it's too far from the commercial districts.
The place of working is far.
The place of work is far off.
मेट्रो चला दीजिए वहाँ तक, वो करते सरकार करके चला सकती थी वहाँ पर, चाहे कुछ कम्यूटेशन का कुछ नया प्रोविजन क्रिएट करते.
But that's why the metro line extension has gone to that side, but it has come at least 15 years too late.
That's right. By that time, the asset is already old. Let me pick up some of the queries that consumers have asked. It gives you an insight into what consumers say. There's Pritesh Rachamala who says, how has affordable housing affected banks and housing finance companies? I think what he wants to ask is the affordable housing sector contributing to the NPAs of banks? And this is an important issue for us to address. Is affordable housing leading to NPAs?
No. In fact, the delinquency level in this particular segment is very, very low.
0.5%.
0.5% also, and people have got an emotional attachment to their house. So this is backed by a reasonable amount of security. So the NPA level is very low in this segment.
See, if you look at the retail portfolio itself, the NPA levels in retail portfolio is sub 2%.
It's sub 2%.
Okay, all your NPAs is essentially in your corporate loan side. So this is not a so
if the developers have the intent to build, the volume of NPAs will come down.
Otherwise,
right?
even they are not delivering, people are still paying their EMI.
Right.
That is the worst part for them. That is a tragedy.
And who are the key building helping the government in achieving housing for all by 2022? How significant is your role as the private sector in this 2022 target? Like Manikandan said, a large part is the beneficiary-led construction, right? So for the mission itself to be successful, how significant is your role, and in what parts of the country is your role so significant? Large cities, medium cities, across the board, where is your role?
आई थिंक जो मेट्रो सिटीज़ और मेट्रो सिटीज़ के जो साथ में जो सबब्स हैं वहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा डिमांड इस वक्त दिखाई दे रही है आज की डेट में, क्योंकि आज जितना भी यूथ है वो टीयर 1 या मेट्रो सिटीज़ की तरफ अट्रैक्ट हो रहा है। उनकी जॉब्स जो हैं वो नेचुरली बात है मेट्रो सिटीज़ के या सराउंडिंग सबब्स में वो क्रिएट हो रही हैं। जितनी भी आप मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज़ अगर आप देखें या फैक्ट्री बड़ी बड़ी अगर कहें तो वो भी सबब्स में या आपको मेट्रो सिटीज़ के किनारे मिलेंगे। तो मोस्टली जो डिमांड है मुझे लगता है सबसे ज़्यादा जो कंसंट्रेटेड एरिया होगा वो मेट्रो सिटीज़ या उनसे जो सराउंडिंग या एक 50 किलोमीटर का
उनका इन्फ्लुएंस एरिया,
ऐसा मेरा मान।
नहीं, लेकिन जैसे शहर लाइक मुरादाबाद, अलवर,
हाँ
सर एरिया में भी
देखिए वो हाँ इट्स ए टियर 2 और 3
टियर 3 टियर 4 में भी जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट सेंटर्स है वहाँ पे भी 2-4 इस तरह के कंडोमिनियम्स बनेंगे जहाँ पर के लोग रहेंगे।
Like our CREDAI strength is around 12,600 members, and approximately 70% is from tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities, and there's a lot of action that is actually happening in these cities.
Yes.
So the construction companies are there, the modern technology is being used, and people are actually going and buying the houses. The mindset is changes from that मेरा अपना खुद की ज़मीन होना चाहिए to a multi-story housing living. The concept is changing, and there is significant amount of demand over there.
Particularly security and other reasons
Yes, because people are understanding the benefits of community living, of a good neighborhood, a place for their parents to go and enjoy, place for children to go.
One of our consumers has raised a very pertinent issue. Has affordable, who's going to maintain, what plans does the government have regarding maintenance of houses provided by PMAY? And this I would, hi Ramesh, join us. This I would like you guys to address. When you build middle income housing or premium luxury housing, maintenance into the future is normally with the developer. There are maintenance agencies and so on. Affordable housing may, what is the system? Who maintains these houses, and what will that result in a big outflow for the buyers? Monthly maintenance ज़्यादा हो जाएगा क्या?
Maintenance of the house is always has to be self-sustainable.
Yeah.
Whether it is a low-end housing or the high-end housing, it has to be self-sustainable.
Yes. एक्चुअली हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट की जो पॉलिसी है उसमें उन्होंने जो कॉमन एरिया मेंटेनेंस है वो फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट है, वो डेवलपर का रिस्पांसिबिलिटी
अप टू 5 इयर्स,
अप टू 5 ईयर।
उसके बाद
तो फिर
RWA बनेगी,
RWA जो भी आपकी बनती है उसके अंदर।
But is the RWA, I think they have to maintain it. The government will not make any contributions to it.
Yes. So let's, और जो इन सोसाइटी मेंटेनेंस उसके कॉमन एरियाज के अलावा भी वो है बहुत, वो सेल्फ सस्टेनेबल है। आप ये कह सकते हैं कि वहाँ से कोई अर्निंग सोर्स नहीं कर सकता कोई भी, और अल्टीमेट जो भी सोसाइटी RWA बन रही है उसके अंदर वो अल्टीमेट उसको वहाँ के खर्चों से ही खुद को पूरा करना पड़ेगा।
तो सोसाइटी एक्ट के अंदर रजिस्टर्ड होंगे?
हाँ, जो RWA जैसे रजिस्टर्ड होती है नॉर्मली, या मैं जिसमें ऑनर एसोसिएशन काइंड ऑफ बनती है, सेम काइंड ऑफ
Apartment owners association.
Yeah, apartment.
They are responsible for maintaining all the common areas in the society.
Because collection will be a problem out there in those.
That will be a problem, and in fact, there was such a wonderful mechanism of collection through prepaid meters, but again there was some government intervention, and now the maintenance had to be taken out from the prepaid meters. So, and now the collection is becoming a challenge.
Explain that concept.
What happened, like in most of the
electricity charges.
in multi-story group housings in Uttar Pradesh, like Ghaziabad, Noida Extension, the electricity is supplied through single point connection, in which one big meter is given to the name of the developer, and from there the sub meters are installed. They are mostly in the form of prepaid meters, like we have prepaid mobile phones. So once you charge it, the electricity is delivered, and once the balance is over, so the electricity is automatically cut. So the concept was that the maintenance was integrated with these prepaid meters, so that there is automatic collection every month. You don't have to run after each and every individual to pay the maintenances. But then there was some PIL challenging that the maintenance cannot be put with the essential services, and so they were kind of disengaged. So again, the maintenance collection has come to the conventional system, wherein you have to run after people to pay their checks individually, which is a challenge. But especially in the affordable housing segment, where we are talking of, wherein the people are not used to paying such charges, the mechanism has to be developed at this stage, wherein the houses are still not delivered, that how it will be maintained going 3 years, 4 years down the line.
The issue that our user has raised is very pertinent. when the house is going to be affordable, you're giving all kinds of subsidies to buy that house, and then if the maintenance charges are going to be a killer, then the asset maintenance will definitely come down. हमने 2022 तक जितना बैकलॉग है पूरा बना तो लिया, उसको अगले 10 साल में फिर से मेंटेन नहीं करेंगे तो then we'll have fresh problems, right?
This whole responsibility of maintenance, irrespective of whose name is there as the maintenance, be it the government or the developer or the RWA, it is eventually the residents, because someone needs to pay for it. And again, irrespective of 5 years, 10 years by developer, if the developer is maintaining for 10 years, that cost is built into the initial cost, either as corpus or cost of the unit. So still it is paid by the resident. And the real maintenance is again the resident's responsibility eventually. But then, as you are saying, if we are moving people from setting which is not maintenance driven, or you don't really own the common area maintenance, and you are moving into such a situation, it's a clear attitude behavior issue of the target segment, and work needs to happen there, irrespective of who pays and how much is paid. Like if you are judicious, if you are really kind of wanting to take ownership and maintain more than your house, your immediate neighborhood, this issue will not come, which is what you will observe even in some of the old DA units, where from the outside the facade is like so bad, but if you go inside the house, it's pretty much fine.
Perfect.
Because they maintain the house, the immediate neighborhood is not maintained. It needs to be resident driven, irrespective of what name you give it.
The system has to be developed, so that's why he was suggesting that that system should be as such that it's automatically one has to contribute, one has to come forward
That it has to be
maintain it.
mandatory for you to follow, right?
Solution to that.
Yeah.
So let's divide the maintenance two. One is I think you're trying to address the utility bills part. Now, utility bill part, in my opinion, is not part of maintenance. I mean, that's the distribution companies, and they have to, and the way the water supply units, unless there is a willingness to charge and the last mile connectivity. If you mix the utility bills of individual households with the larger maintenance, you will always have a problem there.
The maintenance is also of the individual units.
Sorry?
Ultimately, the maintenance that you're doing, that is also for the individual units.
No,
You cannot
see,
do it
there
for the
are
larger
there,
perspective.
so
If you're talking of a
Ultimately, if the society goes to the court, then only the utility will be disconnected.
Yeah.
So that is the only way to ask them to pay up. So now, whether it is with the court or whether it should remain with them.
The financial risk and the credit risk cannot lie with the developer. I mean, that's the point I'm trying to make.
That is there.
Your resident welfare.
of course, it is them who have to maintain themselves.
So in Delhi, a lot of these DDA housing that was created in MIG, LIG, as well as cooperative group house societies, it is the RWA which goes ahead and manages it. DDA went out of maintaining those within a span of 10 years. And now they only supply now DJB
Essential services
yeah,
are
because the
not
residents see the
because
societies where residents are paying up, they are pretty well maintained.
Yeah, but
the societies where residents are not willing to pay up, they are and where they are. But you cannot put the onus on the developer or the government agency.
That is the problem. But either you put on them or on the government or on the somebody. I mean, because otherwise what will happen, sir, that she pointed out that after 10 years what will happen, that entire complex will not livable. And then again the problem will restart. So the issue is that before that happens, you will have to find a solution. Mechanism has to be developed.
Let me bring the conversation back to, is the viability sufficient for the private sector to build more? Right? Ramesh Menon has just joined us. Ramesh has been an expert on land and has done a vast amount of research. And we've got Atulya Nehra, who brings in the legal perspective. Ramesh, one of the biggest stumbling blocks in many states has been that where the land is very expensive, can you build cost-effective housing? Help us understand how this land issue can be resolved. Land cost issue can be resolved.
I'm sorry, I was late and I didn't catch up the initial bit of the conversation.
Yeah.
This whole issue of affordable housing, to my mind, when you call about affordable housing, it's causing a lot of confusion. It's basically social housing. Social housing across the world is provided largely by the government, either subsidized or given the land, etc., etc. If you look at how the social housing has happened in Delhi NCR, it's a very illogical way of development. You don't develop housing where you have land. If you look at Delhi, Narela, Bhawana, that is where DDA had land and they created housing there. And when they uprooted people from East Delhi, for the Commonwealth Games, they threw people there. If you have work here, you need housing around your work.
Clearly that was because the land was cheaper there, right?
So that's the equation that you're asking about. If land is cheap in Rajasthan, you don't create housing in Rajasthan. You need, a complete ecosystem for the person to live.
Yeah.
So this relationship of land has to be subsidized by the government, and we stop calling it affordable housing, we start calling it social housing. Because who is it catering to finally? It is catering to a section of society which cannot afford to live in houses which are, made with a profit, with an intent to make profit. So in that sense,
for the private, to attract the private sector to build where the demand is, what is the rational cost of land that can make it viable for the private sector?
So any cost of land, irrespective of the cost of the land, there are multiple ways that the government can incentivize the private sector. I'm not saying cash subsidies. It could be, if you look at how Israel does it, especially for senior citizen living, a certain piece, any piece of land, they allow the developer to commercially monetize to a certain height. For example, 5 floors of mall and senior citizen living on top. So it can be subsidized by higher FAR, it can be subsidized by mixed land, it could be subsidized multiple ways. So one problem that we were discussing about the maintenance, etc., also gets addressed by that mechanism. Sadly, we in Delhi or India are looking at the problem in a very peculiar manner. When we talk about mixed land use, we just notify certain roads that's mixed land, and that's where all this problem today is happening in Delhi. This is mixed land would mean that there are shops and restaurants and bars operating in residential areas. There is no harm incorporating them into the design. And any cost of land, why can't Lutyens Delhi have subsidized social housing? Can be created.
Where the maintenance is paid for by the commercial establishments that are allowed in that area,
so
right?
There are ways to look at it, but unless we look at it from the urban planning perspective, talking about housing or affordable housing in far-flung areas is not going to address,
but
is not going to help.
That other way around, that you develop an area and connect it from the area where they are working, so that they can travel, and make travel very cheap or either free.
What's the trade-off between cost of travel versus?
Yeah.
So besides the cost of investment then?
Yeah, so cost of investment, because now everybody wants to live in near Connaught Place, because everybody is working near Connaught Place. How many people you can accommodate there? Ultimately, you will have to make people live outside.
Yeah, or you take the offices or commercial establishments.
The commercial stuff. So
that side.
What is possible? Because you can't give houses everybody in Delhi one.
Yeah, that's not possible.
That's not possible. So you'll have to take people out. So you'll have to develop the
So if you look at
transportation or the
Gurgaon today,
communication.
or the portions of Gurgaon which got developed in the past 2 decades, most people are traveling to work in a radius of 7 kilometers.
But people from Delhi also go to.
No, that's a different issue. Earlier affordability was in Rohtak and Palwal. If you remember, 25 years back,
Similarly,
people used to
Narela
travel by
also,
train.
after 10 years, Narela will be developed.
Yeah, but Narela was developed 15 years back.
Because the commutation or the transportation was never allowed.
So transportation would never come there, because cost of taking the metro there is something like 5,000 crores. It's about 225 crores per kilometer.
Redevelop it.
Yeah.
So that we have a live example. We have a live example of Greater Noida. It was developed way back, 10 years, 15 years back. But since the commuting was not comfortable, population did not move over there. But now with the metro connecting that particular area, I believe in the next 3 to 4 years there will be no space left in Greater Noida.
So let's talk about how commute has made areas viable and affordable. Rajnagar extension was a far-flung area with nothing else. with 22 developers coming together, 22 or 26 developers coming together, asking for all the facilities in the right area, and with the commute.
Elevated road that has come up.
Elevated road that has come. Now Rajnagar extension is just minutes away. We will not talk about Rajnagar extension in terms of kilometers, but from Delhi it will be just 7 to 10 minutes away.
Yeah, from Vasudhara enclave, my side, Vasudhara enclave, it is hardly 15 minutes away.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
then,
has that made Rajnagar expensive or affordable?
Rajnagar was affordable and it will remain. As of now, that the number of transactions should go up, because once the chain starts moving in, everybody will be beneficiary. Banks will have their money back, consumer will get their homes, the developer will be able to move to the next project, and not only the owning of the house will become comfortable, but even the people who are looking for rentals, that will become a very, very attractive proposition.
Yeah, you cannot develop the only 100 square kilometer of Delhi and you will make it vertical. You'll have to expand horizontally also, and so you'll have to, and with that, for that, transportation is required.
No,
Like
it
rapid
will,
metro
but
is
then
coming.
whether
It is
it makes it
going to be
affordable is a very valid
Very well put.
Like when you say
It does
extra
not. Per
FAR,
se, it does not make it
extra
affordable.
FAR, extra FSI, mobility connectivity is when you freeze the land price. Now, if you
Land
allow
price
it
you
to
cannot
come,
freeze, sir.
the land price
cannot
would.
freeze, sir.
You can't freeze, sir, in
And
the
you
market
cannot-
economy.
You
You
cannot,
cannot
right?
do
Like you cannot. Which is
however,
why-
however, in
development
cities like
authority, they have a
Bangalore,
Right.
Hyderabad, where you open up ring roads and outer ring roads, you open up new areas for development, and that is the way to, their mobility was a significant portion of it, but when you open up planned areas of the city for development, you bring down the cost of land, because there are equidistant
Exactly.
properties
Last
from
part of
different.
it, yeah. No, sir, 1 minute, sir. One thing I'll tell you, that 10 years back, DDA used to sell their apartment for 10 lakh of rupees, okay? And the secondary market that used to sell at 40 lakh of rupees. So that became a kind of a lottery for everybody. DDA was not benefited, but the LOT was benefited. They took it, sell it,
The property
exited.
dealer was
So
benefited.
then, this is not the way. Now, if you are saying it, that fix the land price. Fix the land price, say, of 100 rupees per square yard. But those who will buy it will sell it at 100,000 rupees per square yard.
It's not
Who will be benefited?
I was like saying, like, see, if you.
But if you-
have-
Only way to do it, that bring more land into the system.
It's the-
That
but
is
you
the
have
only way.
Affordability, see, if you look at the definitions of affordability, there is a price cap. For all the financing cost that gets reduced, it's only to a limit of a pricing of a housing unit. If it goes beyond your CLSS or subsidized financing cost, so there is a mechanism in which you can cap the price
No, you
and
can't cap the price in market.
No, I'm simply saying it's not by fiat. It is not by fiat, it is through behavior.
Haryana government says you can't raise the price by above 4,000 rupees.
But for that, what did they do? They supplied, they gave licenses to many of the
अब ये लाइसेंस
developers.
सिस्टम खत्म हो जाएगा अगर ये तो अपने
अपने
प्राइस
आप
डाउन हो
नीचे आ
जाएगा
जाएगा।
अभी वहाँ पे-
Supply बढ़ा
हाँ,
दीजिए।
supply बढ़ाने के लिए
बस।
अभी क्या है कि आपको 5 लोगों को लाइसेंस देने हैं 10 लोग अप्लाई करते हैं 2 को लाइसेंस
Exactly.
मिलता है 8 को 8 पड़ रहते हैं बस्ते ठंडे बस्ते में आज अदरवाइज जो हरियाणा की बात करें अगर जो कैटेगरी 1 जो सिटीज हैं वहाँ पर 4,000 रुपए स्क्वायर फीट है कैटेगरी 2 के अंदर 3600 रुपीज पर स्क्वायर फीट है
Sir, NH24 के
आपको
बन जाने से-
आपको बाइबल ही नहीं होगा
देखिए,
महंगा जमीन खरीदना महंगा लोन लेना उसके अंदर
नहीं सर, एकदम सही बोल रहे हैं। आप देखिए ना, अगर आप अलवर जोड़ दें यहाँ से आप मेरठ से आगे के एरिया जोड़ दीजिए, यहाँ से मुजफ्फरनगर को आप जोड़ दीजिए एक्सप्रेसवे से, चाहे आप मेट्रो से, आप देखिए कितना सारा लैंड आ जाता है मेन स्ट्रीम में और कैसे प्राइस नीचे आ जाता है। सो द ओनली वे टू
So
ब्रिंग डाउन द प्राइस
let
दैट
me ask
ब्रिंग
the
मोर लैंड
private
इनटू
sector
इट।
one thing. Today the government has given you 4 or 5 incentives, right? There is some tax incentives. How many of you avail the tax incentives when you're building in the affordable segment?
Yes, we are.
You do. Pradeep ji?
किस तरह का क्या क्या आप बता रहे हैं क्या बेनिफिट
ATIB का बेनिफिट तो नजर आता है, इसके अलावा तो
ATIB का tax
बस,
benefit है।
बस tax
ATIB tax benefits. How significant a benefit is that?
One more. ATIB के अंदर आपका जो प्रोजेक्ट का जो प्रॉफिट है दैट इज टैक्स फ्री। नंबर 2 जो गवर्नमेंट का इस बजट के अंदर जीएसटी बेनिफिट आया दैट फॉर हाउसेज अप टू 60 स्क्वायर मीटर और द पीपल हु आर
it's for consumer only.
It's for consumer, yeah. 8% GST है, so that's again an added benefit to the consumer.
So it makes it easier to sell,
Yeah.
right? It makes it more attractive for the consumer. These are the tax incentives.
Yep.
Then the 25,000 crore housing fund that has been announced, will it benefit the private sector?
No,
No, not at all.
Whom will it benefit?
only PSU, I think so. Only गवर्नमेंट जो हाउसिंग कंपनीज हैं, ओनली फॉर दैट?
Only government housing companies and institutions like PSUs and all that who have to give funding for priority sector.
Right.
But the biggest dichotomy is that the 2 years back affordable housing was given the infrastructure status. But till date, personally, I have not come across a financial institution which is say that cost of funding for your project will be 3% less than my normal cost. Because you are an infrastructure status now. We have been reading like institutions like
Because
SDFC,
they are creaming off. They are creaming off.
They are raising funds now for especially for affordable housing. But yet I am to see a product, where my cost of borrowing is reduced by 3%, 2%, 4%.
So is CREDAI and NAREDCO has it raised this issue with the governments?
We have raised this. We have given the representation in the finance ministry that we have not seen across this particular thing coming in. In fact, we have raised the issue with the banks. We have raised the issue with institutions like SDFC that you should have a specific product of giving your loans to affordable projects, but they say that it is in the making, nothing concrete hasn't come out yet.
Manikandan, you work with the governments. Help me understand what are the governments doing so that this infrastructure status actually benefits percolate down to the private sector.
In fact, what Mr. Jain was mentioning initially, see, there are multiple levels and multiple departments, and there is always a time lag between one initiative which is taken at a policy level and when it really comes to the implementation. So we need. Unfortunately, we need to give that time to the system to come up with products and innovations. There can be pressure to get this up and running faster, and that's where I think as professional media and professionals in this space, we need to highlight it and get this fast track.
Is any government, you work with the states, is any state government more progressive in making sure that the private sector gets these benefits?
No, so
we are, by the way, we're conducting this is our first dialogue. We're doing the same in Maharashtra, in Mumbai, and we're doing the same in Karnataka, where we're inviting the South Indian developers and South Indian industry. The idea is that we should be able to assess the entire country's, since it's a state subject, and then be able to come up with a comprehensive report on affordable housing.
Again, we need to distinguish anything land related is with the state, and anything finance related tax is with the center. And while Ministry of Housing is the nodal agency, anything related to finance needs to come from the finance side. And anything in the state and the land may or may not be with the urban or the housing department. It can even be in the revenue department of the respective state governments. And to that extent, it becomes complex.
So when Praveen, Jain and Gaurav Gupta go to make sure that they get the benefits that have been announced in 2 or 3 successive budgets, whom do they go to?
देखिए, मैं जो फाइनेंस सेक्टर की बात हो रही है, जैसे CLSS स्कीम जब आई थी, तो हम भी एक अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग कर रहे हैं. हमारे जो एंड यूज़र था उसका बेनिफिट नहीं पास ऑन कर रहे थे. हमने सारे बैंकों से बात की. बैंकों की प्रॉब्लम थी कि साहब हम आज अगर जो सब्सिडी पास ऑन करनी है वो मुझे जाके दोबारा फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर से मांगनी पड़ेगी, NHB से मांगनी पड़ेगी. ये प्रोसेस कोई फॉलो नहीं करना चाहता था. अल्टीमेट वो कई बार मीटिंग NHB से हुई, तो अब वो धीरे धीरे सब शुरू हो गया. थोड़ा टाइम तो लग रहा है. जो भी चीज़ पॉलिसी आती है उसको नीचे तक आने में थोड़ा टाइम लगता है, वो तो हमें बेयर करना पड़ेगा. अदरवाइज चीजें राइट बेस में.
तो
आप जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर में आपका सेक्टर आ गया अफोर्डेबल, तो आप लोगों को होम लोन, आप लोगों को लोन सस्ता क्यों नहीं मिल रहा?
हम लोग, मैं वही आपसे कह रहा हूँ, वो मिलना चाहिए, मगर थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा. मैं वही बता रहा हूँ. जैसे
Atulya, from a legal perspective, if the government announces a subsidy, if the subsidy is not percolating, clearly it's not percolating to the industry, what are the legal
subsidies to whom?
To the
developer
community to build in affordable sector.
See, I would take a step back on this and would start from what Ramesh added. There is a grave need to understand the difference between the affordable housing and social housing. I was reading some research reports which said that on the name of affordable housing, how do we define what is affordable? Friends from developer community are here. They can say that this is affordable. Please make me understand. Is a 25 lakh rupee house or a 30 lakh rupee house, this is affordable? There is a proper research report. There is a proper research report, and what we personally have seen, I personally have seen, there is a phenomenal increase in NPA files in 2015 to 17. So non-performing assets and especially the housing. And interestingly, these houses were of the cost which were not more than 35 to 40 lakhs or maybe less. So what we are saying, a person who is buying even a 25 lakh house is not able to pay the EMIs, because we are talking about home loans which are 8%, 9% or maybe.
I think there's I think most of the NPAs, that's not the position. NPAs are mostly from the developer sector, not from the end users, especially in the sub 25 lakh category. The volume of NPAs is very.
Affordability. See, world over, the affordability definition is considered to be as long as your cost of occupancy plus ownership is sub 30% of your income. That's a clear benchmark. So it's a clear benchmark, and that's how it would change from city to city, state to state, demography to demography. That's a very well acceptable.
In our country, government has fixed it, saying houses less than 60 square meter
30 and 60 square meter.
30 and 60 square meter is affordable. Now the issue is this, that if the buyers is getting certain benefit in terms of interest subsidy, then at least some economic activities are also happening, and government is also collecting taxes. So on net, I don't think that government is losing anything on that front. Only thing is this, that how will you deliver those subsidies to the end users? So I don't think that there is any issue in that, and that is why government is ready to give this subsidy up to the income of 18 lakh rupees per annum, and that is why. Basically, because it is not letting government to lose anything. So that is not an issue today, sir, so that whether the subsidy is given to or the affordable housing is definition of the affordable housing. That I don't think that is an issue today.
So here's the fact, right? The fact is that the governments never realized there is no handicap per se. Two factors: there is no dearth of land with the government. No dearth of land with the government. If you look at just the city of Delhi, 6,000 acres is the acreage that is lying with the government agencies. More specifically, the Delhi Revenue Department. All the Gram Sabha land they have access to. So historically, if you look at in the 60s and 70s, the private sector was so nascent and had no ability whatsoever to create mass housing. So government took on the responsibility of creating housing, running hotels, running airlines, etc., etc. Last 20 years or so, the private sector is so strong. Why can't Mr. Jain be enlisted by the government to create mass housing? They can subsidize the entire project by giving the land.
Absolutely.
Or when you create a township of any sort, why not create a big building and sell it to a Microsoft, a PwC, or a Genpact? That can be subsidized onto the housing. So it is more the lack of will or understanding at the policymakers' end. Private sector is very, very, very capable today. If I look at Signature Global, they are a production company. They are not a real estate developer, right? They keep a very sharp eye on their probably the cash flows, etc., and are able to make housing units at a particular price point and still make a profit. Government is fairly inefficient in their system. So that is the fact that needs to be understood. The government keeps talking about no land or land in far-flung areas. If you look right under your nose, when you create an urban planning norm, globally it is standardized, 53% goes towards your circulations, social services, etc., 4% is commercial, 15% is recreational. There is a set norm to it. So for every 100 acres that is developed, there is a substantial portion of land which goes back to the government in some way form. So that land is available for development, which probably, we are monkeys ruling the jungle.
Mr. Menon, I want to understand one thing. You are saying that government has a land. Okay.
Yes.
Now, suppose government has a land, say in the Delhi one. Now, that land also belongs to a rickshaw puller who is pulling rickshaw somewhere else. Okay? Because that's the government land. Now, thing is this, if government gives that land to him, he makes a house free. He makes a house and give it to me. Now, how that rickshaw puller is getting his equity in that land?
So, there is a thumb number for that.
Government can't give it to free. Either government has to auction it.
For every premium housing, you need to create 2.3 social housing units. For every premium housing. So, if you do not create that housing, then it leads to social inequities, it leads to lot. So it can be incorporated into the urban planning.
100 करोड़ का घर किसी को दे दो, बोलो कि हम 1 करोड़ में तुमको दिया और 1-1 करोड़ का 2 घर बना दो, वो फिर भी 97 करोड़ प्रॉफिट में रहा ना।
तो आप लुटियंस दिल्ली को छोड़ दीजिए,
आप कैसे अलाउ कर सकते हैं?
Wherever you are creating.
सेंस ऑफ इक्विटी नहीं होगा उसके अंदर ना, इस देश के अंदर।
No, it's about if we are talking about there is
ये जो प्रॉपर्टी, मैं इसमें एक बात करना चाहता हूँ। देखिए, ये जो आपने बताया 100 करोड़ का घर 1 करोड़ का दे दीजिए और 97 करोड़ लेके बाहर निकल जाएगा, वो तब होगा जब वो आप शॉर्टेज रखेंगे चीजों की। अगर आप शॉर्टेज नहीं रखेंगे, अगर दिल्ली में जो डिमांड है, अगर मान लीजिए 1 मिनट प्लीज, अगर 2 करोड़ घर की डिमांड है, अगर मैं 2 करोड़ घर बना के अगले 3 साल में डिलीवर कर देता हूँ, कोई प्रीमियम ही नहीं होगा प्रॉपर्टी के ऊपर, जो एक्चुअल यूजर सबको घर मिल जाएगा। ये तो शॉर्टेज हमने क्रिएट की हुई है, प्राइम लोकेशन पे हमने शॉर्टेज क्रिएट की हुई है।
आंकड़ा देखिए, दिल्ली की आबादी।
जैन साहब, मैं आपकी बात से एकदम सहमत हूँ, लेकिन इसके लिए आपको लैंड सारी जगह अवेलेबल है, आप लैंड खरीदिए।
साहब एक बात बताइए, लैंड
आप सरकारी घर जमीन में क्यों घर बनाइए?
एक सेकंड सब सुनिए ना, आज लैंड, आज इशू इज नॉट लैंड एफआईआर की बात करते हैं। आज पूरे वर्ल्ड में हम यहाँ पे 1.75 टू 2.53 या 3 साढ़े 3 एफआईआर की बात करते हैं, जहाँ पे प्राइम लोकेशन है, जहाँ पर लैंड बहुत महंगी है, जहाँ पे 20,000 रुपए स्क्वायर फीट है, 15,000 रुपए स्क्वायर फीट है। अगर वहां पर आप मुझे 5-10,000 एफआईआर अलाउ कर दो, जितना मैं बना सकता हूँ बना लूँ, तो मेरी कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट सिर्फ 500 रुपए स्क्वायर फीट पड़ेगी मैक्सिमम, जहाँ 2,000 2,500 आती है, 3,000 आ जाएगी, 3,500 आ जाएगी। तो वहां
टोक्यो में 20 का एफआईआर है।
बताइए, आप
कह रहे हैं
कहीं चले जाइए डेवलप कंट्री के अंदर।
9 तारीख को हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट ने अपनी अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग की पॉलिसी डिस्कस की और वो निकाली है, आपको पता ही होगा। उसमें जो है 65% तक, मतलब लैंड का 65% तक उन्होंने कंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए बोल दिया कि डेवलपर कंस्ट्रक्ट, इतना परसेंट करीब 12% के करीब उसमें मेरे ख्याल में यूटिलिटीज और कमर्शियल सर्विसेज के लिए दिया। उसके बावजूद भी जब हम ट्राई सिटीज की बात करते हैं, उसमें डेवलपर्स है नहीं लैंड लेने के लिए, बिकॉज वो कहते हैं कि अफोर्डेबल में जो आप हमें कहने के लिए जो आप हमें वो दे रहे हैं, सब्सिडीज दे रहे हैं, दे वुड नॉट हेल्प अस सेलिंग दीज प्रॉपर्टीज। उसको मतलब वो कैसे दे पाएगा एक ट्राई सिटी के अंदर, जहां उसको लैंड ही फॉर एग्जांपल 4,000 रुपए मीटर मिल रही है या 3,500 रुपए मीटर मिल रही है, वो कहां दे पाएगा एक अफोर्डेबल हाउस किसी भी EWS को या किसी भी MIG कैटेगरी में।
So actually what we are trying to understand is there is 30, 60, 120 and 150 square meter which has been defined as affordable. As developers, we would like to understand from you, across the board, is it buildable? Is it profitable for you? Is 30 square meters not viable for you? That needs to go into the government kitty. Is 60 square meters carpet area sufficient to make it viable for you because the demand for that is higher in the market? Or if once the market picks up, today we have a situation where the markets are slow. When the markets pick up, will we see the private sector gravitating again towards the 120, 150 square meters and leave the 30 and 60 square meters unaddressed? The whole argument today is, what can policy do to hold the private sector's interest in the 30 and 60 square meters? If you say the 30 is not viable, in the 60 square meters also, what can we do to hold the private sector's interest in this segment?
देखिए, वाइबिलिटी हर जगह है। वाइबिलिटी अगर आज जो प्रीमियम हाउसिंग करते हैं वो 30 स्क्वायर मीटर 60 स्क्वायर मीटर नहीं बनाते, उनके क्लास है कि भैया मुझे अगर किसी ने मर्सिडीज बनानी है तो मारुति नहीं बनाएगा, ठीक है। सिग्नेचर ग्लोबल है, वो कहता है कि मुझे मारुति बनानी है, खाली मुझे 30 60 स्क्वायर मीटर। आज वाइबिलिटी है तभी ये काम कर रहे हैं, ऐसा तो नहीं है वाइबिलिटी नहीं है। वाइबिलिटी 30 में भी है, 60 में भी है। गवर्नमेंट को थोड़ा अंडरस्टैंड करना पड़ेगा कि हमें एक तो सिंगल विंडो क्लियरेंस करें, अगर ये नंबर से अचीव करें, ये बहुत बड़ा इशू है। सिंगल विंडो क्लियरेंस का मतलब जिस दिन अपनी एप्लीकेशन लगाई विद इन 30 डेज या विद इन 45 डेज आपको 100% अप्रूवल मिलेगी, यानी कि आप 15 विंडो बना दीजिए और हर एक विंडो पे धक्के खाते फिरिए। दूसरी बात, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलप कर दें, जिस शहर में जिस जगह हाउसिंग बननी है वहाँ पे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलप हो जाए। फाइनेंसिंग जो है थोड़ा सा जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर स्टेटस दे दिया तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली अगर इंडस्ट्री, आज देखिए अगर NPA की बात करें तो सबसे सेफ इन्वेस्टमेंट अगर कोई है तो रियल एस्टेट है। आज कोई फैक्ट्री लगाते हैं, पहले लैंड के लिए पैसा मिलता है, फैक्ट्री मशीनरी के लिए पैसा मिलता है जिसकी रीसेल वैल्यू कुछ नहीं है, उसके बाद वर्किंग कैपिटल के पैसा मिलता है जो पता ही नहीं होता कि सिर्फ पेपर्स में वर्किंग कैपिटल है। यहाँ तो सब कुछ सामने है, यहाँ पर तो लैंड भी सामने है, कंस्ट्रक्शन भी सामने है। इससे ज़्यादा सेफ इन्वेस्टमेंट तो NPA की अगर बात करें तो जो इंडस्ट्रीज को पैसे देते हैं आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर स्टेटस के लिए, यहाँ अगर वो आराम से मिलना शुरू हो जाए, एंड यूजर के लिए बहुत सारे बेनिफिट गवर्नमेंट दे रही है, जैसे CREDAI स्कीम आ गई या रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट का सबवेंशन मिल रही है, या जो इसके अंदर GST में भी रिबेट दे दिया, वो सब एंड यूजर के लिए मिल रहा है। बट उसको बिल्ड करने के लिए लोगों को भी थोड़ा सा मोटिवेट करें। लैंड बहुत बड़ा इशू है, जैसे इन्होंने बताया अभी कि लैंड आप FAR को बढ़ा दें, FAR को लिमिट क्यों किया हुआ है, या जैसे हरियाणा की बात भी करें, आज भी गुड़गांव के अंदर सबसे ज़्यादा डिमांड अगर है पूरे हरियाणा में, वो गुड़गांव या जो A कैटेगरी सिटीज़ हैं उसके अंदर है। वहाँ पर भी उन्होंने लिमिट कर दिया कि एक सेक्टर के अंदर 10 एकड़ से ज़्यादा हाउसिंग नहीं मिलेगी या 15 एकड़ से नहीं मिलेगी। अरे जो बनाने दो उसे, अगर मैं ये सोचता हूँ कि मुझे एक ही सेक्टर के अंदर 50 एकड़ बनाना है तो मुझे अलाउ कर दो आप। तो वो आप ये कर रहे हो कि लाइसेंसिंग सिस्टम बना दिया आपने कि आप इससे ज्यादा नहीं बना सकते। आप जब ये किस तरह की कंडीशन लगाओगे तो उसके अंदर प्रीमियम तो रहेगा ही रहेगा हमेशा। आप अगर ये चीजें खत्म कर दें कि भाई जो जिसने आज ये मारुति के लिए तो नहीं है कि भाई आप इससे ज्यादा गाड़ी नहीं बना सकते, आप ये कैप कर दोगे भाई आपने सिर्फ 50,000 गाड़ी बनानी है और डिमांड 1 लाख की है, उसमें प्रीमियम शुरू हो जाएगा, ब्लैक शुरू हो जाएगी। अगर आप ये खत्म कर दें कि भाई लाइसेंसिंग सिस्टम खत्म हो गया, आप जैसे सिग्नेचर को बनाना चाहते हैं एक ही लोकेशन पे, अगर 50,000 की डिमांड है 50,000 बनाए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर उस तरह से डेवलप करना पड़ेगा आपको। अभी भी आज ये देखें कि 2031 का मास्टर प्लान अभी हरियाणा में बनाया है 5 साल पहले 7 साल पहले, अभी भी वर्टिकल डेवलपमेंट की बात हो रही है, इंडिपेंडेंट प्लॉट की बात हो रही है, जब हम लोग हॉरिजॉन्टल डेवलपमेंट की बात हो रही है। जितना गुड़गांव के अंदर अभी नया 50 सेक्टर बने हैं, अगर वो पूरी डेंसिटी बढ़ा दी जाती तो शायद ये 5 सेक्टर के अंदर ही बढ़ जाते। आज जो इतनी जमीनें इकट्ठी करनी पड़ रही हैं, इतने सारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर रोड्स बनाने पड़ रहे हैं, सीवेजेस बनाने पड़ रहे हैं, तो शायद ये अगर मेट्रो ले आते वो ज्यादा बेटर था और ये पूरा सिमट के सिर्फ 5 सेक्टर में रह जाता तो डेंसिटी पॉपुलेशन उसकी।
तो की बात बताता हूं, सिंगापुर एज अ कंट्री 650 किलोमीटर है, स्क्वायर किलोमीटर, सिर्फ दिल्ली 1483 स्क्वायर में, वो देश है। Have they not verticalized it? Don't they have facilities? Don't they have it? And nowhere in Singapore is anybody cribbing about land ever.
Because they are constantly redeveloping every 22 years.
Sir,
every 22 years land gets redeveloped.
3 गुना बढ़ा।
इसमें सबसे
का पॉपुलेशन
दिल्ली, सर दिल्ली से आधा है सिंगापुर एज अ कंट्री। They were poorer than us in the 70s.
लेकिन पॉपुलेशन देखिए हमारा, यदि आप बढ़ाएंगे ऐसे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, you cannot stop influx of the population. So
precisely the point.
Problem. That's a different problem to solve.
So the development for whom? On the one hand, you are capping the FAR. On the one hand, you are,
नहीं अब आर्टिफिशियल इसके अलावा भी
you're creating artificial scarcity.
सरकार को समझ है नहीं, और दूसरा बिल्डर को they treat them like a milking cow. All the cost overruns. आप environment clearance के अगर 18 महीने लगा दोगे, कॉस्ट तो बढ़ेगी, कॉस्ट
बढ़ेगी। नहीं और मास्टर प्लानिंग होती है। अब हरियाणा के अंदर गुड़गांव की वापस बात करते हैं, एक NPR निकल रही है, बड़ा इशू चल रहा है पिछले 10 सालों से, वो NPR नॉर्दर्न पेरिफेरी रोड है। जब वो मास्टर प्लानिंग हुई सबको मालूम था, आज अगर किसी बच्चे को बोलो कि 10th क्लास के बच्चे को भी कि भाई आप मास्टर प्लानिंग करनी है, तो वो जो बिल्कुल खाली रोड है वहां से मास्टर प्लानिंग की रोड यहाँ से जाना चाहिए, जहां पर 10,000 घर बने हुए थे वहां से बैकबोन जो है पूरे शहर की वो बना दी गई। आंख बंद करके काम होता है शहर के अंदर, उसके बाद इसको डिमोलिश करो, इसके एनक्रोचमेंट करो, उसके बाद कोर्ट केसेस होते हैं। बताइए ये तो सिस्टम है कि भाई आज एक ड्राफ्टमैन को बना के बैठा दिया जाता है कि भाई तू मास्टर प्लानिंग कर दे, वो एक सिटी की मास्टर प्लानिंग करता है और उसके बाद थोप दिया जाता है, फिर वो बिल्डर से बात होती है कि यार आप क्या कर रहे हो। तो ये दुर्भाग्य है हमारे देश का।
18 months is the average time from the first application to the clearance.
Minimum 18 months.
Minimum 18.
Yes,
Right. So 18 months, if you add the cost of a developer who's burning 1 crore per month.
अगर ब्याज का पैसा है 27% तो वैसे ही कॉस्ट बढ़ गई उसके लैंड के ऊपर।
और अभी हम कह रहे हैं कि अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग इतना हमने सैंक्शन कर लिया, बन रहा है। The Cement Manufacturers Association is saying that they are running on 67% capacity. 100% पे वो पहुंचे नहीं हैं। 67% जो वो बना रहे हैं उसका 37 या 40% रेनोवेशंस पे जाता है, न्यू बिल्डिंग पे नहीं। तो ऑन द ग्राउंड इवन दो वी, एक तो सैंक्शन का प्रॉब्लम, ऊपर से सैंक्शन ऑन टाइम का प्रॉब्लम, एंड देन जो सैंक्शन होता है दैट्स नॉट एक्चुअली, वी आर नॉट सीइंग इनफ ऑन द ग्राउंड। 2022 में वी हैव टू सी इनफ ऑन द ग्राउंड इफ यू वांट टू मीट दैट टारगेट।
जैसे अभी बताया 30,000 घर हमें डेली बना के डिलीवर करने हैं।
हाँ जी।
कभी हम हमेशा डिलीवरी
आज कितना बनता होगा?
नहीं डिलीवरी की बात करते हैं हम अप्रूवल की बात क्यों नहीं करते? हम ये क्यों नहीं कहते कि डेली कितना अप्रूवल हो रहा है?
राइट।
अगर डेवलपर्स आगे नहीं आ रहे तो क्यों नहीं आ रहे? उनको क्या आज तक गवर्नमेंट ने एक भी सेमिनार ऐसा किया है कि भाई लोग आगे आए और लोगों की प्रॉब्लम की भी क्या प्रॉब्लम है, हमें तुम्हें डेली हमें 30,000 अप्रूवल करने हैं, या उसका डे टू डे या वीक टू वीक या मंथली बेसिस के ऊपर क्या उसके अंदर कितना किस स्टेज पर कौन सा घर पहुंच गया। हम 2022 तक बात कर रहे हैं कि अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग का हम अचीव कर लेंगे। हम अप्रूवल की बात, मतलब हम लैंड की पहले बात करें, फिर अप्रूवल की बात करें, फाइनेंसिंग की बात करें, सीधा डिलीवरी की बात करते हैं कि 2022 में ऑब्जेक्टिव है कि हमें घर बना के पूरे करने हैं। वो होंगे कैसे पूरे?
लैंड की जो प्राइसेस हैं, हम बार बार डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि लैंड के प्राइसेस अप हैं, वो केवल और केवल गवर्नमेंट की वजह से अप है, वो किसी और की वजह से अप नहीं है। आज अगर गवर्नमेंट रिलैक्स कर दे सारे नॉर्म्स को किस लिए आप किसी सेक्टर के अंदर लिमिट कर रहे हैं? आप इंफ्रा क्रिएट करिए ना, आप किस तो प्राइसेस अपने आप ही डाउन आ जाएंगे। आप एफएआर नॉर्म्स को रिलैक्स कर दीजिए, प्राइस कैसे बढ़ेंगे? अपने आप सारा रिलैक्सेशन मिल जाएगा। आप बनाइए ना अप्रूवल्स के लिए एक सिस्टम, तो कैसे हमारी जो सीमेंट इंडस्ट्री है वो 67% पे चलेंगी, उनको अपने आप ही काम मिलेगा। सबसे बड़ा एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन का हमारा ये सोर्स है। यानी 3rd नंबर पे आता है, एग्री के बाद
2nd नंबर पे होगा मेरे ख्याल से।
2nd नंबर पे हाथ कह सकते
रियल एस्टेट से 2nd नंबर।
और उस वैसे हमारे देश में लोग डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि स्किल इंडिया के ऊपर प्रोग्राम चला रहे हैं, और दूसरा कि बोले ये रोजगार नहीं मिल रहे हैं, इतनी जॉब क्रिएशन करनी है। और जो जॉब क्रिएशन का सेकंड लार्जेस्ट सेक्टर है उसको हम कहीं ना कहीं डिमोलिश करने में लगे हुए हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि कहीं उससे अल्टीमेट उसे बढ़ाना पड़ेगा।
देखिए डिमोलिश करने में लगे हैं, ऐसा नहीं करें।
हाँ, यानी आप इसे डिमोलिश ही कर सकते हैं।
नहीं, हमें थोड़ा सा और इस पे और ध्यान देना पड़ेगा, हमें
ध्यान देना पड़ेगा।
हाँ।
क्योंकि जहां आप केयर नहीं कर सकते, केयर ना करने का मतलब यह है कि उसकी आप डिसरिगार्ड कर रहे हैं कि वो अगर क्रिएट कर सकता
क्या है, ये सब्जेक्ट जो है स्टेट मैटर है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट उस पर काम कर रही है, स्टेट को थोड़ा आगे आना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा सा
इसमें स्टेट सेंट्रल इनको सबको एक टेबल पे बैठना पड़ेगा। उसके बिना आज किसी आप मिनिस्टर से जाके बात कर लीजिए, ये स्टेट सब्जेक्ट है, स्टेट से बात कर लीजिए, वो सेंट्रल से ऐसा नहीं है। और एनकरेज करना पड़ेगा डेवलपर्स को। ऐसे सोशल हाउसिंग नेचुरली बात है कि सोशल हाउसिंग में जाना इट्स ए डिफरेंट कॉन्सेप्ट। हर कंपनी बिजनेस कर रही है, हर डेवलपर बिजनेस।
सोशल हाउसिंग का मतलब ये नहीं आप
नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूं वो सोशल हाउसिंग के लिए अलग जाना पड़ेगा।
वियतनाम के अंदर में हम लोग एक डेलीगेशन लेके गए, वहां पर वो क्या है कि आप जमीन गवर्नमेंट प्रोवाइड करती है, सोशल हाउसिंग उसका नाम है। वो कहते हैं जो भी आपने कंस्ट्रक्शन करना है ये 10% प्रॉफिट ले लीजिए, प्लस हमें बना के वापस डिलीवर कर दीजिए गवर्नमेंट को 10% प्रॉफिट। और आज की तारीख में 10% प्रॉफिट बड़ा हैंडसम प्रॉफिट है। अगर आप वॉल्यूम की बात करें तो
अगर आप वॉल्यूम गेम पे जा रहे हैं तो 10% प्रॉफिट। और आज भी अगर रियल एस्टेट की बात करें तो इतना प्रॉफिट किसी भी इंडस्ट्री में आज भी नहीं है। इवन दो इतना मार्केट नीचे आने के बाद भी आप किसी भी इंडस्ट्री में, आप फाइनेंशियल मार्केट में चले जाए, अदर देन इंडस्ट्री में चले जाइए, किसी में भी इतना प्रॉफिट अर्निंग आपको नहीं आ सकती जितना आज भी रियल एस्टेट में है। थोड़ा सा जो जरूरत है समझने की है पूरे के पूरे जितने भी लोग हैं इससे जुड़े हुए कि वो कैसे इसे ऊपर निकालें।
नटबोल्ट टाइट करना है, पॉलिसी आ चुकी है, इसके इम्प्लीमेंटेशन
कोऑर्डिनेशन की कमी है, एक्चुअली
कोऑर्डिनेशन की कमी है। एंड आई थिंक यहाँ पे आपने जो इश्यूज रेज किए हैं ऐसा full panel, the issues that you've raised, many significant issues have been raised, and I think this is something that we will, as a media house, we will be promoting. Remember that we are in a very different situation. We are a business channel. We are in the business of housing. You do well, we do well. We are also in a very independent analytical body. We are the media, and we are using both our stands to make sure that we understand what your problems are and we deliver it to the relevant channels, to the consumers as well as to the governments.
सॉरी, बीच में रमेश की ना एक बात को कंसीडर इसमें करें कि जो रेवेन्यू लैंड्स हैं वो लैंड्स डेवलपर्स के लिए प्रोवाइड कराई जानी चाहिए, जिससे ये जो प्राइस हैं ये नीचे आ सकें, जो कंज्यूमर हैं उनके लिए भी और एज वेल डेवलपर्स के लिए भी। 6000 एकड़ से ज्यादा लैंड दिल्ली में है।
आई हैड लंच विद द कर्नाटका यूडी मिनिस्टर couple of months back. So we just chatting, बेंगलोर की स्थिति के बारे में बता रहे थे वो। मैं कहा सर अब 50 किलोमीटर दूर तो आपका कोलार गोल्ड फील्ड है, 11000 एकड़ के कोलार गोल्ड फील्ड विच इज ड्राई, यू स्टॉप माइनिंग। मैं सर वो 11000 एकड़ में से आधा प्राइवेट सेक्टर को दे दो, आधा आप बना लो जो बनाना है, और 50 किलोमीटर का ट्रेन ट्रैक, रेल लाइन, मेट्रो, whatever you create, you can clearly decongest Bangalore by about 30 odd lakh people. They are not considering as a land asset. वो तो गोल्ड माइन है यार, बहुत पुराना बंद पड़ा है, 70 में बंद हो गया था शायद वो 11000 एकड़।
Okay, I think
you get my point. So there is so much of land available which can be developed.
We are 7th largest country in the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we use only 6% of our landmass for real estate.
जो दिल्ली लैंड पूलिंग पॉलिसी है उसके हिसाब से लगभग 24,000 एकड़ जो दिल्ली सराउंडिंग में अवेलेबल है
केवल हाउसिंग में।
तो फिर कैसे प्राइस 10,000 और 12,000 और 15,000 रुपए स्क्वायर फीट हो सकते हैं अगर उन लोगों को परमिशन मिले।
लास्ट पॉइंट, गुड़गांव में 4,000 रुपए इज अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग एंड नोएडा में 4,000 रुपए इज नॉर्मल प्राइसिंग।
Right.
Right?
I think it's a function of market.
both people are creating products and selling at a profitable value.
नहीं, इसमें फर्क है, मैं बताता हूँ आपको। 4000 रुपये कार्पेट एरिया है, वहाँ पर आप नोएडा की बात नहीं कर रहे, ग्रेटर नोएडा या यमुना एक्सप्रेसवे की बात कर रहे हैं। यहाँ पर भी आप गुड़गांव से सबब में चले जाएं तो
नोएडा ग्रेटर नोएडा एक्सप्रेसवे पे भी आज 4000 रुपये में चीज अवेलेबल है और यमुना एक्सप्रेसवे भी 4000 में ही बिक रही है। मतलब अब आप उसमें देखिए यमुना एक्सप्रेसवे पे कौन जाके रहना चाहेगा?
Market forces will keep the price in control.
Absolutely. And Noida's demand came because the government gave land which could be amortized over 7 years. Unfortunately, there were some policy decisions, the NGT, the land acquisition issue, because of which the movement fell back. But that was the one time when every end user could actually aspire to go and buy a house at launch stages, and if it had taken off, it would have worked well.
If the government does not cause cost overruns, every developer will deliver at a certain value.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we wind up, one last aspect maybe which might be worthwhile discussion. Any discussion of affordable housing, the government is often the elephant in the room. So if we switch to discuss a non-regulatory aspect, see, any industry which has gone bottom of pyramid has often innovated, altered factors of production, and has found a way to serve the bottom of the pyramid segment, right? So the question is more to the developer people on the panel. What are the innovations that are making construction cheaper? What are the factors that are making homes a little more affordable, which are different from factors like land or which are connected with the government? Are there any happening? For example, you are doing very well in this segment. So what's working for you?
I think technology, one of the first part, because आज जो कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट है, अगर आप स्टार्ट करें तो एक रिजनेबली काफ़ी हायर लेवल पे है। अगर थोड़ा सा टेक्नोलॉजी लेवल इसमें अगर आएगा तो एक तो टाइम बचेगा, तो जिससे जो कंज्यूमर को प्रोडक्ट है वो जल्दी मिल पाएगा। दूसरा फाइनेंसिंग कॉस्ट, वो सबसे ज़्यादा एक प्रॉब्लमेटिक एरिया है सेकंड टेक्नोलॉजी के बाद। आज जो फाइनेंसिंग कॉस्ट है, अगर हम अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग, तो गवर्नमेंट को वहां पे कुछ, जैसे अभी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के ऊपर डिस्कस हो रहा था कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर स्टेटस मिल गया लेकिन फायदा क्या हुआ, तो गवर्नमेंट को अपनी जो भी इंस्टीट्यूशन है, खास करके पीएसयू, जितनी भी एलआईसी, बहुत सारी इंस्टीट्यूशन है, वो बॉन्ड मार्केट में जाती हैं तो 7% में पैसा वो लगाने को तैयार है। तो ऐसा क्यों ना करें कि वो अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग जो डेवलपर्स हैं या ऐसे कुछ फंड को डिप्लॉय करवाएं कि उनको इस चीज के लिए कमिटेड करें कि आपको इतना पैसा इन लोगों को देना ही है, और उसके ऊपर वो फिर एक अपना जो सर्वेलेंस रख सकते हैं वो रखें। लेकिन आज की डेट में ऐसा कोई भी रूल नहीं है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से। तो अगर ये दो की पॉइंट अगर कर ले गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से, या गवर्नमेंट आप कह सकते हैं कि पूरा एज ए होल सिस्टम कर ले, तो मुझे लगता है कि बहुत ज्यादा बेटर होगा और डिलीवरेबल।
हाउसिंग को प्रमोट करें, अगर हमने पीछे कई बार उठाया है मुद्दा है कि आप जो लोग घर, जो आज कोई जॉब कर रहने वाले यूपी के हैं और जॉब करते हैं गुड़गांव के अंदर, वो घर नहीं खरीदना चाहेंगे। बट अगर रेंटल हाउसिंग को प्रमोट करें, जैसे पीएसयूज का पैसा है या बैंक का है या कोई और कोई प्राइवेट कंपनी में आना चाहती है, फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन आना चाहते हैं, रेंटल हाउसिंग को प्रमोट करें तो अपने आप ये नंबर से अचीव हो जाएंगे। आज लोग घर में रहना तो चाहते हैं बट वो बाय नहीं करना चाहते हैं।
जरूरी नहीं है कि सारे के सारे लोग बाय ही करें। रेंटल हाउसिंग प्रमोट करें, उसमें को इंसेंटिवाइज करें जो रेंटल, तो उसमें बहुत बिग इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं जो सीधे रीट में अपने आप को लिस्ट कराना चाहती हैं कि वो अपना कमर्शियल वाइबिलिटी भी बनती है उसमें। लेकिन उसमें अल्टीमेट जो इनिशिएटिव है स्टार्टिंग, वो गवर्नमेंट को ही लेना पड़ेगा। कुछ ना कुछ ऐसे फंड वहां पे प्रोवाइड कराने पड़ेंगे जिससे वो घर बन सकें और फिर वो रीट में जाके लिस्टिंग हो, ताकि लोग म्यूचुअल फंड्स की तरह उसमें पैसा भी लगा पाए। तो एक तरफ फंड भी मिल जाएगा और वो काम भी बन सकता है।
तो 1.5 से 3% का रिटर्न होता है आजकल यील्ड में, यील्ड रेजिडेंशियल में, राइट?
वो प्रीमियम हाउसिंग में या मिड सेगमेंट की बात करें, अफोर्डेबल में मुझे
5.5 मिल जाता है, एंड दैट इज सफिशिएंट फॉर द इंस्टीट्यूशंस टू पिक इट अप एज रेंटल हाउसिंग.
So the yield is also a function of your asset price.
Yes,
okay, that's the reason that difference.
Sure,
and
sure.
I'll just pick on the question that you raised, Sudhir, on the innovation. I think there is some thought that also needs to go in terms of making energy efficient buildings, because if you are able to bring down the overall cost of occupancy, so if you are able to ensure that your 25% of your utility costs come down, I think the affordability of the people would improve. So that is one aspect of the innovations that,
Sure.
and also relates to your asset management.
That's right. In fact,
So these are the two issues
institutional-
where I think we have yet not, because there are larger issues we're grappling.
Yeah.
But that's an innovation which the developers and the EPC contractors can very well go ahead
What
and
about
bring.
home layouts? I mean, what's the experience in the market? For instance, we are still building 1 BHK, 2 BHK, 3 BHK, standard kind of configuration. So are there innovations or changes in home layouts that allow for example, when I go back to 1960s, Bombay innovated with chawls, right? Today they look like slums, but at one point of time, they managed to serve the working population of that city. So are there different kind of layouts that would possibly allow for much smaller units but yet efficient for the person who's living in it?
देखिए ये भी सब चीज़ें कंट्रोल्ड हैं आज की तारीख में। अगर मैं बात करूँ, जब चावल की बात कर रहे हैं, अगर आज भी नॉर्म्स ऐसे हैं कि आपको ऐसे ही मतलब उस पैरामीटर्स में जो घर बन सकता है बेस्ट, वो सब लोग ट्राई कर रहे हैं। गवर्नमेंट के नॉर्म्स भी ऐसे हैं कि आपको ये सेटबैक छोड़ना है, ये इतना बड़ा स्टेयरकेस होना चाहिए, ये ऐसी एंट्री होनी चाहिए, इतनी ओपनिंग होनी चाहिए, विंडो का साइज ये होना चाहिए रूम का, वो सब चीज़ें कंट्रोल्ड बाय गवर्नमेंट है। वो बहुत सारी उस
But that's also part of NBC. The product quality needs to be driven by a regulatory agency. That's driven by NBC. So I don't think there's a government
And they
has
have
a
made
particular
it
issue.
because of the livability and so many other conditions. So now
No, but design efficiency is important part. I remember
standard of living is improved, so accordingly they are planning it.
organizations like HUDCO and Building Construction Research, BRRI, CBRI, sorry. They had created these type of community living where you can utilize less land and create those open spaces as well as some of the community facilities. So this used to be one of
But
the
we stopped doing
terms.
that in 1980s, I think. After that, I don't think any innovations, like he's asking.
Design.
Today you've got call center employees. They go back home only to sleep. But what do they need? They need entertainment facilities. They need social infrastructure. They need to be entertained outside the house. The home is more or less just a pad for them to. But we are not innovating in those layouts, and those probably will be big sellers, or they would be, from the rental perspective, they will do very well. However, those innovations in design and planning and in architecture itself.
Innovation,
For
you
that
need
purpose,
scale also.
The
You scale out,
concept of so-called studio apartments, which are sold for 40 lakhs and 50 lakhs.
Hostels might be a better idea
what
for
the
this.
developers have been doing.
Innovation should be in questioning
So hostel
the
would
status
be actually the
innovation should be in questioning the status quo. Like,
Yes.
can we question each of the existing processes and come up with innovation? Technology should be to the extent that we reduce uncertainties. Like, why did conventional bricks go and get replaced by other forms of bricks? Is because there was uncertainty in the conventional bricks, whereas other forms of, if there is uncertainty in labor in terms of timelines, then you bring in technology to that extent, reduce the uncertainty. It improves their margin automatically, or it reduces the price to the developer. So we need to question status quo at each and every stage, and that's where innovation comes. Today we get into a comfort zone,
One last
and
bit.
then we
Sorry.
kind of struggle.
You need scale when in urban planning. He has been told 5 acre pe license milega. Now, how much of efficiency, technology, innovation can you bring on 5 acres? You can't do nothing. If you say that here is 100 acres, 20% is towards affordable, then it can be achieved. Any amount of innovation can be achieved on that. But 5 acres into 3 projects in every sector. And that too on a lottery system, or 10 apply, 3 pay bribes, get the license. That's not how it should be. So my sense is that the policy maker is not yet educated about urbanization as a process.
Actually.
And the business and policy are working on parallel tracks. I think we are seeing some convergence in the last 2.5 years. We've seen some amount of effort from the financiers, from the government to make these policies. But I think at the state levels, like Praveen ji said, the centers far more proactive. But at the state levels, the policy implementation needs to go at a much larger level. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been one hell of a discussion, and the idea is to raise the issues, and like all of you have been saying, to put the spotlight on the problem areas. Can we, if once we do that, and if we keep raising those issues at the relevant quarters, we hope that even at the state levels, the process will be faster, and then 2022 becomes a continuum. There should be a continuum and not 2022 capped as the time in which we can build affordable housing.